Welcome to another deep dive with us. And today we're going to be looking into the life of Lizzie Halliday,
Lizzie Halliday.
a woman
Yeah.
who captivated the nation in the late 19th and early 20th centuries.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We've got some excerpts from a Wikipedia article about Lizzie Halliday.
Yep.
And let me tell you,
Juicy.
it is a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
We're talking multiple marriages,
Oh, yeah.
suspicious deaths,
Uh-huh.
arson,
Okay.
and ultimately murder.
Wow.
So
this is like a Dateline episode?
It really is.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that Lizzie's story kind of unfolded during a period of just immense change in America.
Yeah. Huge change. Yeah.
Industrialization was booming.
Right.
Social norms were shifting.
Right.
And ideas about crime and punishment were evolving really rapidly.
It's almost like they didn't know what to do with a woman who was committing crimes back then.
Right.
It's like, how do we even punish this?
Yeah.
There was no system.
Yeah. And so let's set the stage a little bit.
Okay.
Lizzie was born Eliza Margaret McNally in Ireland around 1859.
It's across the pond.
Across the pond, yep.
Okay.
Her family emigrated to the U.S. when she was a child.
Okay.
But the details of her early life were surprisingly scarce.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like a missing piece of the puzzle.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you would think.
You would think.
There would be some information out there.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just didn't keep as good of records back then, or if it was just lost.
Yeah. Or if there's some records that haven't been digitized yet or something like that.
Or maybe she was running from something.
Ooh.
Even back then.
That's true. That lack of information about her childhood, though,
It's intriguing.
It's super intriguing. It makes it harder to understand what factors might have shaped her later actions.
Total.
You know, we can only speculate about, the presence of any potential trauma or neglect.
Right. Was it something that happened when she was a child, or was she just born evil?
Nature versus nurture.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing we do know is that Lizzie's life was marked by a series of tumultuous marriages.
Oh, boy.
5, to be exact, before she even met Paul Halliday, the man whose name would become tragically intertwined with hers.
So 5 before.
5 before him.
Wow.
Yep. Okay.
So already we're like red flags.
Yeah, this is we're in the red zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
And each of these marriages is shrouded in misfortune, to say the least.
Okay. Right.
Her first husband, Ketz Poole Brown, died under circumstances that raised eyebrows.
That's an unusual name.
Even back then.
Okay.
And then there's her second husband, Artemis Brewer, who also died within a year of their marriage.
Oh, my goodness.
So 2 husbands down. Okay.
2 husbands.
And they both died.
And they both died.
Under mysterious circumstances.
Under mysterious circumstances.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And then there's the case of her third husband, Hiram Parkinson.
Okay.
Lizzie was actually accused of attempting to poison him.
Oh, my goodness.
With arsenic.
Okay, so she's getting a little bolder.
A little bolder.
Now we've graduated from mysterious deaths to outright poisoning.
Right. What do you make of that?
I mean...
A desperate attempt to escape a troubled marriage?
Sure.
A sign of something more sinister?
I mean, she obviously wanted out of these relationships. I mean, I guess back then.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but I'm assuming there wasn't really a way to get a divorce.
Right.
Or it was very difficult.
Yeah, it wasn't socially acceptable. It wasn't an option.
So maybe she was just like, all right,
you
gotta go.
Yeah.
See you later.
It's a fascinating question, though. On the surface, it seems like a clear act of malice.
Right.
But when you consider, like we were saying, the societal pressures on women at that time, especially within the confines of marriage.
Huge.
It's possible there were other factors at play.
Right.
Perhaps she felt trapped and saw this as her only way out.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a
desperate
times. Yeah.
Desperate measures.
So while we can't condone her actions, obviously.
Of course not.
It's crucial to consider that broader context in which they occurred.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Put yourself in her shoes.
So after Hiram wisely decides to separate from her.
Okay. Smart man.
Yeah. He gets out.
Yeah.
Well, he still can.
Dodged a bullet there.
Lizzie kind of disappears from the records for a while.
Oh.
But then she resurfaces in Philadelphia under the alias Maggie Hopkins.
Okay, so she's changing her name now.
Changing her name. New city. Attempting to run a shop. This period in Philadelphia, I think, really marks kind of a turning point in Lizzie's story.
Right.
It's here we start to see her resourcefulness and her willingness to bend the rules. However, things don't go as planned.
Okay.
And she ends up in prison for arson and theft.
Wow.
So it seems like her life is
Taking a turn for the worse.
taking a darker turn. Yeah.
Okay.
But after serving her time,
Okay.
Lizzie ends up in Burlingame, New York,
Okay.
working as a housekeeper for, you guessed it,
Who?
Paul Halliday,
Ah.
a widower with a mentally handicapped son named John.
Okay.
Before long, Lizzie and Paul are married.
Oh, boy. Here we go again.
Here we go again.
All right.
However, their life together was far from peaceful.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
5 husbands. This is probably not going to go well.
Yeah, right.
This isn't going to end well.
You know, statistically, it's not looking good.
5 for 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's putting it mildly. 2 fires, one that destroyed their house, and another that leveled their barn, occurred during their marriage.
Oh, my goodness.
Suspicions immediately fell upon Lizzie.
Of course.
And rightfully so.
Right.
I mean,
Come on.
Come on.
6 times the charm.
Right.
But not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fires themselves are definitely alarming.
Yeah.
But what really sends chills down my spine is the death of Paul's son John in one of those fires.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we've got more deaths.
Upping the body count.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is...
The circumstances surrounding John's death are particularly disturbing.
Okay.
His room was found locked from the outside.
Oh, my goodness.
And guess who had the key?
Lizzie.
Lizzie.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it's hard not to see this as a turning point in the narrative,
Right.
where suspicion kind of solidifies into something much more ominous.
Yeah, she's not just a
Yeah.
bad luck charm at this point.
Right.
It's like things are happening around her.
For a reason.
Yeah. And then adding to the growing sense of dread,
Oh.
Paul Halliday himself vanishes without a trace.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, okay. Lizzie's explanations for his disappearance were inconsistent and unconvincing.
So she's getting sloppy.
She is getting sloppy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long before a search warrant was issued for the Halliday property.
Okay.
And what they discovered was truly horrifying.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear about this. So they're searching the property.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the tension must have been thick enough to cut with a knife.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What did they find?
Buried in the hay of the barn, they discovered the bodies of 2 women.
Oh my gosh.
Margaret and Sarah McQuillan both had been shot to death.
What?
This is insane.
Gruesome scene.
Yeah.
Sent shockwaves through the community.
So it's like something out of a nightmare.
Totally.
But the horrors weren't over yet, were they?
Tragically,
Oh, no.
the investigators' grim determination led them to a truly chilling discovery.
Hidden beneath the floorboards of his own house, they found the mutilated body of Paul Halliday. He, too, had been shot.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So this wasn't just a disappearance anymore. This was a full-blown massacre.
Yeah, you could say that.
And with all the evidence pointing towards Lizzie, what happened next?
Lizzie was immediately arrested and charged with the murders.
Okay.
But her behavior in jail was anything but typical.
Oh, really?
She refused food, lashed out at the sheriff's wife,
Wow.
even attempted suicide multiple times.
That's crazy. So her actions were definitely disturbing.
Yeah.
Was she genuinely suffering a mental breakdown, or was this like a calculated performance designed to manipulate the legal system?
It's a question that was fiercely debated at the time,
I bet.
and one that continues to intrigue us today.
Right.
It's important to consider that the understanding of mental illness in the late 19th century was vastly different than it is today.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally different times.
Different times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine the media storm surrounding this case.
Oh,
A woman accused of such horrific crimes.
can you imagine being a journalist back then?
I know.
Like getting this story.
That would be huge.
That would be front page news every day.
Front page every day.
Yeah.
What was the public reaction like?
I mean, the media frenzy was unprecedented.
I bet.
Newspapers across the country sensationalized the story, painting Lizzie as a monstrous figure.
Of course.
The New York World even described her case as unprecedented and almost without parallel in the annals of crime.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to believe how quickly news traveled back then.
Right.
But amidst this media frenzy, one journalist stands out. Nellie Bly.
Nellie Bly.
She managed to secure an interview with Lizzie,
Wow.
unearthing some crucial information about her past,
Okay.
including her multiple previous marriages.
Oh, wow.
So
she dug deep.
she dug deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Nellie Bly's reporting, I think, really added a new layer of complexity to the case. It wasn't just about the immediate murders anymore.
Right.
It was about kind of unraveling the mystery of this woman's past.
Yeah.
Her investigation revealed a pattern of instability and violence that went back years.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's as if, like, every new revelation just added to the puzzle,
Right.
raising more questions than answers.
Totally.
But eventually the case had to go to trial.
Right.
What was the outcome?
In June 1894,
Okay.
Lizzie Halliday was convicted of the murders of Margaret and Sarah Jane McQuillan.
Wow.
And in a truly landmark decision,
Okay.
she became the first woman in New York State to be sentenced to death by electrocution.
What?
Yeah.
That was a brand new method of execution
It's cutting-edge technology.
at the time.
Yeah.
Wow, this really speaks volumes, I think, about the changing attitudes toward crime and punishment in that era.
Oh, for sure.
You know, the introduction of the electric chair was seen as kind of like a more humane alternative
Right.
to hanging.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also reflected a desire for, like, swift and decisive justice, particularly in high-profile cases like Lizzie's.
Yeah, they wanted to make an example of her,
Right.
I think.
Yeah. So Lizzie Halliday, the first woman sentenced to die in the electric chair.
Wow.
Did the sentence actually get carried out?
No, it didn't.
What? Oh.
Governor Roswell P. Flower
Okay.
commuted her sentence to life in a mental institution after a medical commission declared her insane.
So they said she wasn't competent to stand trial.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was a controversial decision,
that bet.
with many arguing that she was simply feigning madness to escape the ultimate punishment.
Right.
So while it spared her life,
Yeah.
ending up in an asylum for the criminally insane
Right.
hardly sounds like a happy ending.
No, not at all.
What was life like for Lizzie at Mattawan State Hospital?
Initially, she was surprisingly well behaved.
Oh.
And in fact, she was even granted sewing privileges,
Sewing privilege.
which, as we know, proved to be a tragic mistake.
This sounds ominous.
Yeah.
What happened?
So Lizzie became close to an attendant named Nellie Wicks.
Okay.
But when Nellie decided to leave the institution, Lizzie's fragile mental state shattered.
This poor woman just caught in Lizzie's web.
Yeah,
What did Lizzie do?
In a horrific act of rage, Lizzie attacked Nellie with a pair of scissors, stabbing her over 200 times.
Oh, my God.
It was a brutal reminder that even within the walls of an asylum, the potential for violence could not be completely contained.
Oh, my goodness. That's just awful. It's a truly heartbreaking end for Nellie Wicks,
Yeah,
and a stark reminder of the darkness that Lizzie Halliday carried within her.
absolutely.
So after this just horrific incident, what happened to Lizzie?
So after the attack on Nellie Wicks, Lizzie remained at Mattawan,
Okay.
but under much stricter supervision.
Right.
The hope for any kind of rehabilitation was just shattered,
Yeah.
and she kind of lived out the rest of her days as a patient rather than an inmate.
Right. It's a tragedy.
It's a tragic end to a life already
Yeah.
filled with so much sorrow and violence.
So how did Lizzie Halliday's story finally come to a close?
Lizzie Halliday died on June 28, 1918, from Bright's disease
Okay.
at the age of 58 or 59.
Oh, okay.
After spending almost half her life confined within the walls of Mattawan,
Yeah.
her death marked the end of a chapter
Right.
that captivated and horrified the nation.
It's incredible how one woman's life can hold so much tragedy, mystery, and violence, from her early days as an immigrant to those tumultuous marriages and the shocking murders that made her infamous.
Yeah.
Lizzie Halliday's story is one that stays with you.
It certainly does, and it continues to raise questions even today.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Was Lizzie Halliday truly insane,
Right.
driven by forces beyond her control?
Yeah.
Or was she a calculated manipulator who used feigned madness to escape true justice?
Right.
It's a debate that likely won't ever be settled.
Yeah. It's a really sobering thought.
Yeah.
This deep dive has taken us through so many twists and turns of Lizzie Halliday's life, exposing kind of this dark underbelly of a bygone era.
Totally.
And we've explored not only her individual story, but also the societal context in which it unfolded.
Absolutely.
I think her case really does provide a fascinating lens
Yeah.
through which we can examine these evolving views on crime, punishment, and mental illness in the late 19th and early 20th centuries.
Definitely.
It's a reminder that history is never just a collection of facts.
Right.
It's a complex tapestry
Yeah.
woven from individual lives, societal forces, and the ever-evolving human understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Well said.
Well, this has been quite a journey.
It has.
Lizzie Halliday's story is both captivating and unsettling,
Yeah.
leaving us with, I think, more questions than answers.
Definitely.
But it challenges us to confront the complexities of human behavior
Yeah.
and the enduring power of the past to fascinate and haunt us.
Absolutely. If you're as intrigued by this case as we are, I encourage you to delve deeper into the source material that we've used for this deep dive.
Definitely check out the show notes.
Yes.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep questioning.
and keep diving deep.
Yeah, dive deep.